Nation, this is Monica Cuetiva, and I am presenting today. Dan is driving. We are coming from LA. We are on the 101, and today we are here.
Hi, Rod.
Dan, Chris, Albert, say hi.
Hello.
And we're going to be discussing today about the most common mistakes that PIs and sites make during the process of research. So let's start our conversation here.
And tell them about the PI Academy, Monica.
Because so
what inspired all of this?
We actually, because of all this, we get phone calls, especially Dan, of people asking about information or how to open their own business, how to become a principal investigator, and to join our elite industry. So we're now creating the Principal Investigator Academy. We're going to be releasing more information soon, hopefully. So here we are.
Here we are. There we are. Hello.
So you wrote very nice bullet points with this PI Academy, and we're going to go through it. And we're also going to talk about the industry as a whole, how it's going to grow, because you, Monica, read some very interesting things about this. And then we're also going to maybe talk about the common pain points that you said. So I think a lot of that connects to each other. So yeah, let's go through your bullet points first, or you want to do the pain points first? Or Chris, what do you want to do?
No, let's go through the bullet points.
Okay.
Give everybody a taste of what we're going to be doing. And then, we'd love some feedback. If you don't think we're not including something that should be included, Dan loves to hear in emails.
Oh, that's actually a great idea.
What
including?
you're thinking, right? So if you think that we're not doing something or covering something, a topic that should be covered or included, please let Dan know.
Yeah. Or Chris at theclinicaltrialsguru.com.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Or me.
Or Monica at theclinicaltrialsguru.com.
Yeah. So we're going to be covering, obviously, the general responsibilities of principal investigators. So we're going to start by explaining what's the role of the IRB and the FDA in this. To explain so that way the PI will understand this organization role better, and they will learn through this also the responsibility as a PI, and the regulations that they need to be sticking to.
Yeah, so what's the biggest pain point for sites from your experiences?
Oh, you mean the mistakes?
Yeah.
So I think one of the biggest mistakes is that the staff, including the PI, they actually don't adhere to the protocol. So because sometimes the staff assume things and they don't ask either the principal investigator or the CRA about it, and or ask whoever is involved in the research from the sponsor side. So they make mistakes, and that's probably one of the most common also FDA's audit findings. The mistake I think most of sites make with is in relation to the protocol. So they don't have adherence to the protocol.
Sure.
They just because they don't they assume things. And when I say they, is the whole staff, including the principal investigator, and the clinical research coordinator.
Even experienced PIs do this. At investigator meetings, you see all the time they're arguing about the protocol. They want to do it their way.
Yeah, they want to do it their way. The thing is, when the sponsor is called the sponsor for a reason. They're paying for the study. So it's their way, not your way, no matter how brilliant you might be. If you want to do your own study, you can do your own study. It's called investigator-initiated trial. But if you're going to be a private industry research investigator,
essentially working for somebody else.
Yeah, you've got to take the protocol and follow it exactly as it states. The only time you're supposed to deviate is if you're avoiding potential harm to your patients.
Yep.
That's the only time you're supposed to deviate from the protocol.
And PI oversight, as Dan was alluding to, this is a little different than PI oversight, but PI oversight is one of the major findings not major. It's one of the most frequently occurring findings by the FDA in the audit.
Yeah.
So PI oversight, we cover that, right? We're going to cover that.
It's going to be a good podcast episode. What's next?
So another one is that sites forget that they have SOPs.
SOP, standard operating procedures, guys. Very important. So if you don't follow your own SOPs, it's almost as bad as you're not following the protocol in the eyes of a regulator, which is the FDA. And oftentimes these PIs, they're not even aware of their own SOP if they work for a site. Or, sometimes the PI wrote the SOP because they're the owner, but most of the time, somebody like me or Chris or Monica wrote the SOP, and then a PI just comes in and they don't understand the SOP, so maybe they don't follow it, and then if a FDA comes in and does an audit, that's not a good finding. It also shows lack of PI oversight because you're not following your own SOP as a PI in this case. The way the industry is growing like crazy, we just had a meeting with Dr. Al Jazairli, and the industry is growing. 2019 was a huge year for research, a record year. 2020 was on pace for that until COVID, but with all the COVID studies, it's still going to be a record year for research because, a lot of studies were on pause. Very few studies were actually canceled during this, right? They were just on pause or delayed. And now we have all these additional COVID studies. So the industry is booming. We're going to need more CRCs, CRAs, more PIs, more nurses, more patients. We really need more patients, but we need all these other components as well, more sites. This is why Chris and I and Monica are doing a lot of initiatives to help more research naive clinicians get involved in research, and supposedly that's going to help getting patients in the studies and all that stuff, and diversity and all these things that are important we're trying to do, but it starts with one clinician at a time. So this stuff we're talking about on this PI Academy and the list Monica has, show them your list, Monica. This is like 4 pages. I don't know if we're going to go through all of it, but what's next on this thing? And this is all important.
Okay, so another thing that we're going to be teaching in the PI Academy is the office layout and the necessary equipment. So the basics. So that way everybody will know the basic things that you need to have in your site to be a working and productive site.
So
very good.
Very important.
Office layout, office equipments, it's on the clinicaltrialsguru.com. Just go there and you'll see start your own clinic. It's going to walk you through everything that you need to know.
We also will be discussing about delegation of authority log, how that is done.
This is very important. This
Yeah,
is another one of the crucial and major findings of the FDA.
Yeah, we actually kind of in the Principal Investigator Academy, we're going to be discussing a lot of the things that are findings by the FDA, so that way we make sure that the principal investigators know what's the most important.
They're aware of these things and they can focus on them.
Another thing that we're going to be discussing or teaching is the documentation and the recording of the visits. How important is to do a proper source documentation.
Alcoa-C.
Exactly.
Attributable, legible, contemporaneous, original, accurate, complete. PI needs to know these things. But Monica, PI is going to tell you, let's say a physician's watching right now, Monica, I have a study coordinator to worry about this. I don't need to worry about this. So what do you say about this?
They need to worry about that too.
Sorry, I was daydreaming.
That's really important.
Yeah.
Because obviously the principal investigator.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day.
So they would say, well, I don't need I have a coordinator, I'm paying them good money. Why do I need to worry about Alcoa? That's their job.
No, because the principal investigator is going to be doing signatures. The principal investigator is going to be reporting
progress
very
notes.
Important information, like the progress notes. For example, adverse events or serious adverse events that needs to be reported within a specific time period of time, they need to be aware what the clinical coordinators are doing, because I mean, if they are the ones, the chiefs of their own business, they need to know how everything runs, right? To make sure that the staff is doing things properly, and obviously, because if they are the doctors, they need to write down really good progress notes to tell the story of what happened on the visit, what they have to do. I mean, what they did on the visit.
So I want to interject something here.
Yeah.
So, do we want to scare doctors away from being PIs?
No.
The wrong ones, we do want to scare.
Sure.
Because some doctors shouldn't be in research.
So let's cover this topic real quick. From what you just said, I think that may scare some doctors away, right? Because it's making it sound like it's very involved and there's a lot of work involved in being a PI for a research trial. I mean, how much work is involved for a PI?
Dan, do you want to answer that question?
I mean, the answer is everything. The whole responsibility of the study is on you.
Responsibility, absolutely, but
the work,
time consumption.
Yeah, the time consumption. You're supposed to hire staff, train your staff, make sure that they know what they're doing. These are study coordinators. These are people that do regulatory, startup, recruitment. So if you have all these parts, and really all you really need is a coordinator in the beginning, because the coordinator can do regulatory. They do all the heavy lifting. They do most of the source documentation. Your job is just to be a doctor and to look over the safety of your patients in the context of a study. So that means reviewing labs, reviewing adverse events, reviewing ECG results, writing progress notes, and documenting what's going on, and looking at AEs and seeing if they're related possibly to the study drug or not. Just being a doctor.
So would you,
just within the context of a study, that's the only difference.
So would you agree with this statement? One study moderately enrolling takes on average probably 2 hours a week of a PI's time.
Yeah.
I think so.
At most.
So you would say that's a fair assessment of most trials, right? Moderate enrollment.
Correct.
Okay. So it doesn't take a lot of time, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want. I get what you're saying. We don't want to scare too many off, but we also want to scare the wrong ones off, because there's a lot of doctors out there, a lot of people out there think clinical research is going to be easy money. I mean, we've seen these clients all the time come and go.
Yep.
You know, it's the furthest thing from easy money. It's good, solid revenue, and consistent, but it's not easy at all.
Right.
It's not easy.
Right.
To,
not difficult either, though.
It's not easy to learn the process of research.
But that's why we're here.
That's why we're here, to hold your hands, and just like you're holding the GoPro.
That's right. All right, Mom.
We're going to explain, doctors, about how to recruit properly patients for your study. Looking at the criteria, the inclusion and exclusion criteria, the concomitant medications, the prohibited medications, and everything about the protocol. Selection of human subjects and patients for research participations. Pretty much this is the topic.
Pre-screening, identifying which patients may qualify for your studies, going through the inclusion-exclusion criteria, and then not just identifying, but now really where the clinician earns their value is in talking to the patient about the study and getting them in, because really the patient-clinician relationship is sacred, and the patients really listen to what the clinicians have to say. So when a clinician tells a patient, hey, I have a study that might be a good option for you, the patient's more likely to listen than if Chris and I were to tell this patient the same thing, because we don't have that relationship. So this is very important for PIs here, is not just pre-identifying the patients, but also discussing and educating them on what research is. And you can, of course, have your staff help, but nothing replaces that face-to-face, the physician and the patient relationship. And we found from all our clients, the best source of patients is what? From the physician's own database.
Absolutely.
So that's a good one.
Plus, because the physician knows exactly how, the condition of the patient, the health of the patient, if this patient is in good health, and if to participate in the study, or if this is on the benefit of the patient to participate in the study. So I think it's a great value that the doctors have and offer to the research industry.
Yep.
Another topic would be how to adequately do the informal consent process.
Informed consent.
According to GCP.
Well, what is it? What's the process of consent? You guys gotta understand out there in YouTube and podcast world. So, Chris, what is a good process of consent for you? I'm sure clients ask you this all the time.
Yeah, they do. I just tell them to refer to GCP, right? So, really, I guess for the class itself, though, we would start by discussing the informed consent and why it's necessary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Is that the plan?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it necessary? What is an informed consent? That subject matter. Then, how to do it correctly, right? So it's GCP, right? Just itemize what's listed in most GCP trainings, which would be things such as no procedures are conducted prior to the subject signing the consent. The subject is given a copy of the consent. All questions are answered. They have a good understanding of the study and what's required of them. They are informed they can quit the study at any time. And I'm sure I didn't cover everything.
The potential risk and benefits
Right.
of the study.
They are given a quiet place to review the informed consent. They've been given plenty of time. They've been offered to take it home and review with the family if they would like. There's all kinds of things that you can cover. I suggest going through a GCP training and just whatever that GCP training says. So, are we going to discuss regulatory?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, regulatory. We're going to be discussing regulatory.
And delegation is important. Delegation of authorities. That's where we talked about the coordinator and all those people that you can delegate to do your studies.
Yeah,
But there's actually a form, and we're going to talk about regulatory as well. But that just shows the FDA and the sponsor that, hey, I'm the PI, I'm responsible for this study, but I'm also responsible for the actions of all these people on this delegation of authorities log. And it's my responsibility to train them as a PI and to oversee what they're doing, because any problems with the study is my problem as the PI. The FDA does not hold anyone else accountable, only the PI.
We're also going to be discussing with the principal investigators the type of monitoring visits, all the type of monitoring visits, and their participation on this, including the site selection visit, the site initiation visit, the regular monitoring visits, the closeout visits, all the visits that are involved in research. The CRO and the sponsor dynamics, so they will understand the ordering, how this works.
Yeah, it's like learning a new language when you're a brand new PI, as far as what is a CRO, what is a sponsor, how do they work together, what is a monitor. You're going to learn all these stakeholders quickly
So,
as a PI.
are we going to discuss how to get a study as a PI?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to be. I just mentioned some of the things because if I go through,
It's going to be an in-depth class. What else is covered in this academy? This is a good podcast, guys.
We have a lot of things like general responsibilities as investigators according to GCPs. So we're going to go over these responsibilities according to GCPs, according to the FDA, according to IRBs, which at the end of the day are kind of similar. But it's important to mention all of them so they know.
Right. I guess that's a good episode, guys. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. And we'll catch y'all later. Bye-bye.